20 years. That's how long I poured myself into building a life beside a woman who treated me like I was a shadow cast by the furniture, to full decades of loyalty, consistency, patience given freely to someone who barely acknowledged I existed. I was the man who proved himself, who protected what was his, who stayed faithful even when most would have cracked, pleaded, or stepped out. I stayed. I watched, and when I finally walked away, I made sure it was forever. She never saw it coming, because here's the truth: we men can't carry everything. We can't keep surrendering our dignity like it's disposable. Respect, self-respect is the last thing you let go of. Ever lived with someone who treated you like part of the backdrop? You're there, sure. You pay the bills, you unclog the sink, you bring home dinner, you fix the gate. But to them, you're just there, no more significant than a chair or a lamp. That was me, 20 years married. But for the last 10, I could have vanished and she wouldn't have noticed until the lawn overgrew, or the fridge went empty. Her name is Linda. We met young, built a life like so many couples do. Bought a modest house, raised kids, hosted barbecues, smiled for photos. From the outside, we were the model suburban marriage. But behind closed doors, I was fading slowly, painfully, like a man watching his own soul erode in real time. At first, I assumed it was just the chaos of parenting, of career pressure, of middle age. So I gave her grace, because that's what good men do, right? We don't whine. We step up. So I did. I took the extra shifts when she said we needed more savings. I did the school runs when she claimed she was too tired. I rubbed her feet when she was stressed and stepped back when she wasn't in the mood. But she was never in the mood. First it was a week, then 2, then months, then the excuses came, wrapped in a soft voice. I'm just tired. I don't feel sexy lately. Work's been overwhelming. And each time I nodded, because I believed in patience. I respected boundaries. I told myself it was just a phase, but that phase became the rhythm of our marriage. Years went by without a kiss that wasn't rushed, without a touch that wasn't accidental, without a night that didn't end with her back turned to me, and the glow of her phone lighting up the room while she laughed at strangers on TikTok. And me, I lay there in that bed, wondering what I did wrong, wondering if I had somehow become unworthy of affection. But the hardest part wasn't rejection. It was the indifference. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't hateful. She was just numb. Like I was a familiar coat on a hook there, useful, but ignored. And that kind of silence, it stings more than any shouting match. I only brought it up a few times. 2, maybe 3, in 20 years. I never pushed. I'd ask gently if she was okay. I told her I missed her, that I still wanted her. She'd nod, kiss my cheek mechanically, and return to her show. After a while, I stopped trying, because a man can only knock on a locked door so many times before he realizes no one's coming to open it. And when your own wife doesn't make eye contact for days, when she brushes past you in the kitchen like you're made of fog, when she forgets your birthday, but posts happy birthday, queen to some acquaintance on Facebook with emojis and virtual glitter, you don't just feel unloved, you feel unreal. But still, I stayed. I stayed because I was raised to be dependable, because I had children, because I believed love was something you fought for. I thought that one day she'd remember who I was, what we had, but she never did. She grew colder. She stopped asking about my day, stopped waiting up when I worked late, stopped caring, really. Weekends passed where her only words to me were about the trash or the lawn. So I went quiet too, but my silence didn't come from defeat. It came from clarity, because real men like me, we don't explode, we observe. And when the moment is right, we make one final, irreversible decision. That's when I started taking care of myself again, got back into shape, not to impress her, not to get her attention, but for me. I stopped chasing her love, stopped begging for scraps, stopped standing outside a door that had long since been bolted shut. I went to the gym. I read books. I rebuilt my mind, my soul, my peace. And still, I came home each night, said goodnight to my kids, slipped into bed beside a woman who hadn't touched me in over 1,000 nights. Yes, you read that right, over 1,000 nights, and I never complained. I never guilted her. I never threw her rejection in her face. I just existed quiet, steady, unnoticed. But I had changed. I had become the ghost she turned me into, and when she finally noticed, it was far too late. That's the part women like Linda never see coming. They mistake silence for passivity. They think because we don't yell, we're content. But silence isn't peace, it's preparation. It's the sound of a man building his exit. By the time she noticed something was different when she started smiling a little more, brushing my arm when she spoke, laughing to hard at nothing, it was already done. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was empty. She brought out wine one night, sat next to me on the patio, tried to stir something. She asked, "Are you okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, I'm good." And I meant it for the first time in years. I truly was. Not because of her, because I had stopped needing her. That energy shift, she felt it. She started trying again, in her way. Compliments, perfume, suggesting dinner dates. But the roots were dead. You can't water a tree that's already rotted from the inside. And that's the part no one tells you when a man disconnects emotionally. When he truly leaves in his heart, there's no coming back. She thought we were fine, still posted pictures like we were happy, still smiled for the camera. But I was already planning my departure. And then one quiet evening, I looked her in the eye and said it. I want a divorce. You'd think someone so distant would have seen it coming. But her face said it all: shock, confusion, panic, not grief, panic, the kind that comes from losing control, not love. What? Where's this coming from? That was her first question. Not why, not can we talk. She wanted to know what triggered it because she thought I was a man who'd endure forever. But I wasn't that man anymore. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I told her calmly, it's been over for a long time. I was just a patient to admit it. Her hands reached for my shoulders, desperate, trembling. No, you can't just spring this on me. It's not fair. Fair. That word echoed like a cruel joke. Was it fair that I gave 20 years of devotion and got apathy in return? She asked. Is there someone else? And I laughed, not from humor, but disbelief. No, Linda, there's no one else. That's the saddest part. I was yours. Completely. And still, it wasn't enough. She cried. Real tears, maybe for the first time in years. But they didn't move me. Because those tears weren't for me. They were for her comfort, her control, her illusion of permanence. I'll do better, she whispered. Please, let's try. But trying happens before the damage is done. Not after. You had years, I said, and I begged you in silence. Now I'm done talking. That night, I slept in the guest room. By morning, I was gone. She texted, called, left voice notes full of desperation. But it was over, not with shouting, not with cruelty, but with calm certainty. And that's the thing. When a man leaves like that, without drama, without rage, he's already been gone a long time. I checked into a quiet Airbnb across town. Nothing lavish, just peaceful. Mine, no tension, no pretending, just stillness. I laid on the bed and exhaled like a man finally stepping out of a storm. The texts kept coming. We can fix this. The kids are confused. You're not. The man I married. She was right. I wasn't. That man bent himself into knots for love. That man stayed up nights wondering what he did wrong. That man swallowed his needs for years. That man was gone. I got back into the gym. Started cooking for myself. Took up woodworking. I reconnected with friends. Laughed again. Slept without cold silence next to me. Months later, she sent an old photo. US dancing in the kitchen in our 20s. Me holding a spatula like a microphone. She captioned it, "Remember us?" I looked at it for 10 seconds, then archived it. Because she never understood I had already grieved our marriage from within it. I had already buried the love while lying beside her night after night. She just never noticed the funeral. She once showed up at a cafe, sat across from me, eyes swollen, voice shaking. She talked for 20 minutes, promised change, counseling, reconnection. I listened quietly, then said, "I forgive you, but I don't want you back." That was the last time we saw each other. Face to face, she still texts, random memories, regrets, but I rarely read them, because I'm not her safety net anymore. She had a good man. She just didn't see him until he became invisible. And now, Now I wake up early, lift heavy, eat clean, run a business, take weekend trips, and spend time with people who value me. I'm not angry. I don't curse her name. I don't wish her harm. I just don't think about her. That's what real freedom feels like, not needing closure, not needing revenge. Just the stillness that comes when a man finally remembers his worth and chooses himself. And the most powerful move a man can make when he's been overlooked, disrespected, forgotten is to leave so completely that even her regrets echo into silence.